Hey guys, it's LukeMan97. Welcome back to World of Warships Blitz. I know I've been changing the upload schedule up a lot this week, and yeah, but here's the final upload schedule. Today, which is Wednesday night, for me at least, we'll be uploading this review, and then tomorrow, which is Thursday for me, I'll be uploading 3 videos: the Chung King review, the Exeter review, and the Black Bayern review. I know it's kind of a full week, but yeah, that's the best I can do. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at. So what are we looking at? Are we looking at a carrier or a battleship? Well, both, technically. This is the Japanese battleship Issei, which, yeah, tier 7 premium battleship. But as far as history on this thing, it was basically, they did not design these things as half carrier. So basically, they designed it as an improvement over the preceding Fuso class, like it says. But so instead of a flight deck originally, she had an extra she had 2 more turrets in the back. But after the Americans sunk all the Japanese carriers, or at least 4 of them, at Midway, they found themselves with an issue. They didn't have enough carriers. So they rebuilt the Issei and her sister ship, the Hyuga, as carriers, which actually we have both of these ships in game. The Issei is obviously in her in her post refit configuration where she has the flight deck, whereas I can't show you Hyuga right now because it's not around where I can show you, but Hyuga is the pre-refit, where instead of having the flight deck, Hyuga gets the 2 rear turrets. So, yeah. It didn't really work, though, as the Japanese wanted it to work, because since this thing isn't as long as a carrier deck, actually what they were going to do is they were going to convert the whole thing into a carrier, but they didn't have the funds, so they only converted a little bit. But since this thing isn't the whole length of the ship, planes can't really land on it that well, so they had float planes, like the ones you can see sitting there, which were more like reconnaissance planes, like scout planes, and they were catapulted off via these 2 catapults in the front of the flight deck, where you can see 2 planes sitting on them. So the float planes would be catapulted off. These things, she actually gets the E-16A1 dive planes as her dive bombers, which these things actually did historically work as dive bombers, even though they were float plane. They had pontoons, and in between the pontoons, I guess they put the bombs. But so they would catapult them off. They would either scout or carry out bombing runs, and then they could land beside the ship and be hoisted on. If they put land-based aircraft on the ship, what they would do is they would catapult them off the ship, they would drop their load, and then they would fly to the next island that the Japanese had control of and land there. Because it's basically impossible to land back on this thing. I mean, it's too short. So she did that. She actually had pretty good AA, so she worked as kind of towards the end of the war when she was kind of obsolete. She worked as a floating AA battery, basically. Yeah, so she's basically survived the war. I think at the end of the war she got sunk by American aircraft, but she survived most of the war, yeah. So, what do we have here in the game? First of all, let's compare her to a couple things. Let's compare her to the Fuso, because the Fuso, it says it was an improvement over the Fuso. So she gets an extra precise aim. If you're wondering what this little icon is, it's actually just the symbol for aviation battleship, which telling you it can launch air squadrons like aircraft carriers. Issei obviously has more health because it's a tier up. It has better torpedo damage reduction, better speed, acceleration, and traverse speed. The Fuso has better turn time. One thing you'll notice is they have the exact same guns, despite the fact of this thing being a tier higher. So, plus the Issei has less of them because it had the 2 rear turrets removed. The Issei actually gets a much shorter reload, better range, and better traverse speed. One thing you'll notice is actually the Issei does not get secondaries. Why does it not get secondaries? Well, actually the reason why is because they removed them all it was later in the life of this thing, but they decided, nope, we don't need those anymore. We're just going to remove them and replace them with AA guns. So that's why she doesn't get secondaries. She does, however, get a carrier air group. Like I mentioned, she gets the E16A1 dive bombers. They're basically just float planes. 18 of them, 2 squadrons of 3, 1 bomb per plane. These things don't have the best health, so they can get shot down rather easily. So you're going to run out of planes eventually. It's not really a question of if you're going to. It's a question of when you're going to. You'll notice she actually has a very good AA for her tier, and we're going to look at that with the Nagato next. But, yeah, that's the effects of her secondaries being removed for AA guns. And she actually has a better concealment than the Fuso. So next, let's compare her to the Tech Tree Tier 7, the Nagato. Same ship skills. Issei actually gets more hit points, a little bit more. But as you can see, the Citadel protection on Issei is actually absolutely dreadful. Like, this is battlecruiser Citadel protection. I mean, the U.S. battlecruiser Constellation that's in the game has the same protection, and that's a battlecruiser. So, much worse Citadel protection. The Nagato doesn't have much better, though. Nagato has better damage and torpedo damage reduction. Nagato's faster with better acceleration, but Issei's more maneuverable. As you can see, the Nagato actually gets the bigger 410mm guns. Issei gets better reload. Nagato gets better everything else, though, basically. No secondaries, no dive bombers. Even you can see how much of an astronomical difference that AA is in Tier 5, which for some reason I've heard that carriers go after the Isseis for some reason, like for no reason at all, and they will regret it because your AA is pretty good, this tier. I just wanted to, I'm not going to really compare it to the Magi because obviously it's a tier up, but I just wanted to compare the AA of the two. So as you can see, the Magi does get a slightly better large caliber AA, but she gets actually a better small caliber AA, and the Magi's large caliber isn't that much better. So that's just how, this is basically like tier 8 AA. So that's the good part about it. As far as elite bonus, you can either have better reload time and traverse speed, or you can get the better bomb damage and bomb chance of setting fire. I went with elite gun operator because might as well get the reload down even more. It's already pretty short. But the planes, you could also do elite dive bomber if you wanted to. Both of them really are useful. It's just I went with that one. Can get the historical camo, which in my opinion is kind of ugly because it's not like the traditional Japanese historical camo. The traditional Japanese historical camo is like this, which doesn't look too bad, but I don't know why this one looks like that. It looks so fake, that color of green. But it gives you hit points, main battery firing range, reduces your dispersion, it gives you better torpedo damage reduction. We'll just roll with this though. Battle honors, first battle honor, play 10 battles, get some boosters and money. Second one, set a fire 50 times, you get 2 steel, which actually, this is my first tier 7 premium ship, so it gives you steel instead of copper. Yeah, so as far as supplies, I'd probably go with the extra AA ammo because this thing is pretty good at AA. Obviously improved crew rations, and maybe refined diesel because this thing is so slow. Equipment-wise, you could go with main battery mod 1 because the traverse speed is pretty dreadful, and the rear turrets do have to go the long way around. Plus, she's completely incapable of firing to the rear, as you can see, because it's blocked by the flight deck. So if you're running away from someone, you're not going to be able to fire at them, which kind of sucks. But I went with reload just to get the reload down even more. And in fact, all I've done with the reload has gotten it down to 17 or about 18 seconds. So, yeah, it's pretty useful. I fully spec'd this thing out for AA because unless you wanted to go with fire and flooding resistance, there wasn't like much else useful here. So I just went with small caliber AA. And then here I went with AA Defense Mod 1. You could go with propulsion here as well because this thing is so slow, but I wanted to fully spec this for AA. As far as commander skills, slot 1, you could go with the underwater protection expert, but I went with the aerobatic maneuver because you do have the planes and you want them to return faster. Second one, obviously torpedo alert. Third one, high alert. Fourth one, victorious charge. If you're wondering why I don't have the commander very far, it's because I just got this thing. Fifth one, probably survivalist. You could do fire supremacy to get an extra precise aiming, but it's not. You already have 3. I don't really see the need for 4. Slot 6, I'd probably go with generalist, probably. Slot 7, probably marksman, because it increases your precise aiming usefulness. Slot 8, extinguisher. Slot 9, demo expert. Slot 10, compartment maintenance. Slot 12, 11, I'm not completely sure yet because I haven't tested this thing a whole lot, so I don't know if IFHE or APCS is better, because a lot of people I've heard have said that HE actually does better in these guns, but honestly, I've been doing pretty good with armor piercing, so it's really up to you after you've tested it. Which, that's one thing I'm going to tell you. Don't take my word for anything as far as, like, no, take my word for stuff, but don't take my word for, like, what shell type to use, because just test it for yourself, because I haven't completely tested it yet. And slot 12, probably horizontal protection expert, because your armor is pretty terrible already. So that's about that. Let's see if any friends want to come with us. But yeah, if you're wondering where I got this thing, I actually got it in this event shop they were having, where they were offering the Leningrad, the Issei, and the Tulsa. The Tulsa is basically impossible to get for free. You have to, like, buy the crate or whatever to get enough boat knots to get that. The Leningrad was my original option. It was my backup plan because I didn't think I was going to have enough for the Issei, but I finished grinding for it this morning and got it. Okay, we have our friend Doozy here again. He's going to join us. Alright, let's get into a battle. Alright, let's go ahead and get into a battle and see what happens. He's also coming in his Issei because he also got it from the event shop. If you're wondering what that is, I'm actually trying to get into the fleet focus right now because it's a very, very prominent fleet in the North American server. It's always finishes usually in the top 10. I know I do have my own fleet called Wolfpack 69, but honestly, it's not like that prominent of a fleet, and it's mostly has noobs in it, so there's a possibility I might be deleting that fleet and moving to focus. Because, yeah. I don't know. I want to be able to, like, finish fleet challenges and have a prominent fleet tag on my name and stuff like that. So that's why I'm thinking about moving to focus. I have a friend, this guy I'm going with right now, his name's Doozy. He actually used to be in our fleet, but he actually moved to focus recently, and he's speaking with one of their leaders to try to get us in. Anyways, we're playing base capture on Encounter. We're up against Saipan, Amagi, North Carolina, another Issei, Bot Nagato, Wichita, and Akatsuki. Which, yeah, so the dive bombers you might want to use for scouting, but you can also use them for just damage. So this battle, I'm actually going to use armor piercing in the guns. One thing that's true is you do not want to send out your bombers when there's fighter squadrons nearby, because they will absolutely murder your planes, because these planes have not much health at all. So it looks like the fighters are going over there. We're going to go ahead and send our planes out. But as you can see, those catapults right there, they swing in and out. You just saw it swing shut there. So I'm going to, yeah, the fighter squadron's following the carrier, it looks like, carrier plane. So because of your planes being launched on opposite sides of the aircraft, it does tend to affect their spacing a bit, whereas in the carrier they're all launched from the front, so it's kind of interesting. But let's just go ahead and bomb the Nagato. I mean, let me just do that real quick. That's pretty underwhelming. I can't believe I got one hit on a battleship. That's kind of sad. Okay, I don't think the fighters are after my aircraft, or actually they might be. Yeah, they were after my aircraft, but it looks like 2 from one squadron are coming back, and all 3 from the other one are coming back, so that's pretty good. Okay, I don't want to rush forward too much. Yeah, you do get into tier 8 games in this thing, so it is kind of hard sometimes as far as AA goes for your planes. I don't like Saipans either. They're kind of OP. Okay, precise aim up. Shots out. What is the Saipan doing? He's like sending his planes outside the map. It's kind of weird. Anyways, that's a fairly decent salvo. I mean, it is a bot, though, so... For some reason, it seems like to me, I don't know if this is true, but it kind of seems like to me that bots tend to take more damage from your shots than regular things do. We can launch our squadrons again. Actually, no, they're going to be dead before we can do that, so let's just send them over here. Maybe we can try and spot that pesky Saipan and kill him. But, yeah, okay, so the bombers on this thing, not like the best, but they're kind of interesting, because... What? I guess one of them got shot down. Oh, well. Okay, let's bomb the Saipan. Okay, we actually set a fire. That's good. Looks like the Saipan Damacon, though. Yeah, my planes are getting followed by fighters. I think they're pretty much going to be dead now because of that. Okay, we can't... Because those Saipan fighters are... No, actually, they're following the carrier's planes, so my planes are good. Let's launch our other squadron. Let's fire Saipan. Never mind, we got him with the planes. I mean... Oh, great, now I'm going to use those planes to the stupid Saipan fighters. Anyways, we got the Saipan, though, so that's good. Okay, there we go, we're shooting some planes down, good. It is good, though, that we have the, basically, Tier 8 AA, because you will get into Tier 8 games with this thing, just like we're in right now, so it is decent to have that. It's kind of slow for this tier, only going like 24 or 25 knots. But, yeah, looks like that Aka wants to come over here, so... I'm going to switch to HE, because that's a destroyer. Yeah, the guns aren't like hugely accurate either, even with the precise aim, they're not extremely accurate. But oh, by the way, I keep forgetting about my planes in this thing because I'm so used to just playing a battleship and firing the guns constantly. I'm not used to playing because I just got this thing, so I'm not used to playing a battleship carrier type role. So it's kind of interesting. One hit. I mean, it's decent. Dude, that's the one thing I don't like either, is that in the Issei you have no secondaries. And I mean, I guess they mean for the planes to kind of like keep you busy while you're waiting, but yeah, it's kind of hard because the planes also take a while to reload. So, and we captured the area, so we won easily. Anyway, yeah, the Issei is kind of on again, off again, because sometimes you can do great and get a lot of damage and win MVP. I haven't won MVP yet, I don't think, in this thing, but sometimes you can do great, get a ton of damage, and, yeah, it's just great. And sometimes you just get destroyed, and it's not fun. But yeah, that's the Issei, half battleship, half carrier. But yeah, that'll be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If I missed anything, let me know down below in the comments. And we'll have 3 more videos coming out tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. And I'll see you in the next one.